You ever notice how everyone's trying to look happy all the time? Like every single person you see in public is putting on this silent performance. You walk past them in the grocery store, they're pushing a cart full of kale and diet soda, and they've got this tight, fake little smile that says, "I'm fine. I'm totally fine. My life's together." And you know it's not. You know it's not. Nobody who's truly happy smiles like that while buying toilet paper. That's a survival smile. It's like emotional camouflage. If I look happy, nobody will come too close and find out I'm falling apart. We've built this whole world around pretending. Happiness has become this product we're supposed to display, like it's part of our personal brand. Hey everyone, look at me. I'm content. My breakfast looks amazing. My relationship is thriving. My skin is glowing because I drink lemon water and suppress my feelings. It's exhausting. You can't even just feel okay anymore. You have to market your okayness. And what's wild is that everyone knows it's fake. We all know it, but we play along. Because if we stop pretending, we ruin the illusion. We ruin the act. We're all part of this global improv show called Everything's Fine, and nobody wants to be the first one to break character. You ever try being honest about how you're doing? Like someone asks, "Hey, how are you?" and you actually answer truthfully? You say, "Oh, I'm actually kind of lost. I feel disconnected. I don't know what I'm doing with my life." Watch how fast people panic. They'll blink. They'll nod awkwardly, then they'll go, "Oh, that's tough." Anyway, did you see the new Netflix show? Because we don't know what to do with honesty anymore. It's too raw. It breaks the script. It's not even our fault, really. We've been trained to treat happiness as the measure of a good life. If you're not happy, something's wrong with you. If you're sad, people don't comfort you. They give you advice. Just think positive. Be grateful. Manifest joy. As if you can just manifest serotonin by speaking it into existence. We've turned happiness into homework, something you're supposed to achieve if you just try hard enough. And when you can't, you feel guilty. Like you're failing at the one thing everyone else seems to be doing so easily. That's the trap. Happiness isn't just an emotion anymore, it's a competition. We're all walking around like salespeople trying to pitch our own joy. Buy into my life. Look how happy I am. Look at this sunset I didn't even enjoy because I was too busy taking a picture of it. It's like we can't even experience a real moment without wondering how it looks to everyone else. I think the reason we fake happiness so hard is because deep down, we're scared of what's underneath. If we stop smiling, if we stop performing, what's left? Maybe it's emptiness. Maybe it's confusion. Maybe it's guilt. That's the dirty little secret. Happiness and guilt are dance partners. You can't have one without the other. Every time we convince ourselves we're happy, there's that little whisper inside that says, "Are you sure? You could be doing better. You could have more. You don't deserve this yet." So we smile bigger, talk louder, laugh harder, hoping nobody, especially ourselves, hears that voice. You ever scroll through social media and see someone who's just too happy? Like suspiciously happy. Every post is living my best life and grateful for the grind. You can almost smell the desperation through the screen. That's not happiness, that's emotional Febreze. It's guilt sprayed over anxiety. It's this desperate need to prove to themselves that they've got it figured out because deep down, they know they don't. And we've all been that person. We've all posted something to make ourselves feel better. Maybe you had a terrible week, your job's driving you insane, your relationship's hanging by a thread, and instead of dealing with it, you post a picture of your coffee with the caption, "Simple Joys," like no one needs to know you cried for 40 minutes before that coffee. That caption is the digital version of a fake smile. It's harmless, but it's also sad, because it shows how far we've drifted from being real. We've turned happiness into a costume. It's got sequins and sparkles and perfect lighting. You put it on before you leave the house, and you take it off when you're alone. And the crazy thing, nobody really wants to wear it. We just feel like we have to. Because if you walk around without your costume, if you show up raw, unfiltered, people start to worry. They think something's wrong with you. They tell you to cheer up, as if sadness is a disease. But the truth is, happiness isn't supposed to be constant. It's not meant to be your default setting. It's like weather. It comes, it goes, it changes. Some days it's sunshine, some days it's thunder. But we've decided that only the sunshine counts. So on cloudy days, we fake it, we put on the costume and pretend. And then we wonder why we feel so disconnected. What's even funnier is how happiness seems to have rules now. Like, there's this list of things you're supposed to do to be happy. Wake up early, drink water, meditate, go to the gym, journal, practice gratitude. It's like we've turned joy into a checklist. And if you miss a box, if you skip the gym or forget to meditate, you don't just feel bad, you feel guilty. You feel like you failed at being happy. We've managed to turn the pursuit of happiness into another source of misery. And that's the part that really gets me. The illusion of happiness isn't just exhausting, it's cruel. Because it keeps you chasing something that doesn't exist. Nobody's happy all the time. Nobody's walking around with this permanent sense of peace and purpose. Even the people who seem enlightened, they have bad days. They feel doubt. They feel fear. They just don't post about it. Sometimes I think the most honest moments we have are the ones we're ashamed of, the nights when you're alone, sitting in the dark, eating something you shouldn't, watching something dumb, and you just feel real. Not happy, not sad, just real. There's no performance, no filter, just you existing. And that's as close to peace as it gets. We keep thinking happiness is the prize, but it's not. It's just one stop on the ride. It's supposed to come and go, not sit there forever like some trophy on a shelf. But because we've been told that being happy all the time means we're doing life right, we pretend. And pretending becomes habit. And the longer we pretend, the more we forget what real happiness even feels. Like, you know what's funny? The moments that actually make us happy, they're never the ones we plan. It's never the big vacation or the perfect photo. It's something stupid, like hearing your favorite song in the car, or someone laughing so hard they snort. It's imperfect, it's messy, and it's real. But we don't talk about those moments because they don't look impressive. They don't fit the costume. We're all just walking around in our happy outfits, hoping nobody notices the seams. And sometimes, maybe the most honest thing you can do, the bravest thing, is to take off the costume. To admit you're tired, or confused, or not okay today. Because the moment you stop pretending, you make space for something real. You give other people permission to be real too. And maybe that's where the real connection lives, not in the performance of happiness, but in the shared relief of finally dropping the act. Because in the end, happiness isn't about smiling all the time. It's about being honest enough to admit when you're not. You ever notice how guilt sneaks into everything? It's like this invisible background noise in your head that never shuts up. You can be sitting there doing absolutely nothing wrong, and guilt will find a way to whisper, hey, shouldn't you be doing something productive right now? You can't even relax without feeling bad about relaxing. It's like happiness can't exist without guilt sitting right next to it, reminding you that you don't quite deserve to feel this good. You do something nice for someone, maybe you give a few bucks to a homeless guy, and immediately there's this little voice in your head that goes, well, that wasn't enough. You should have given more. You're selfish. You can't even enjoy being decent without guilt turning it into a self-critique session. It's like we've built this entire emotional economy where guilt is the currency that keeps everything running. You donate to charity not because you're pure of heart, but because you feel weirdly guilty for having things other people don't. You call your mom not because you suddenly miss her, but because you felt that twinge of guilt when you realized it's been a week since you answered her text. Half the good things we do are just negotiations with guilt. And the funny part? Guilt doesn't even need to make sense. You could be sitting in your house doing absolutely nothing wrong, and you'll feel guilty for not doing more with your life, for not calling your friends, for not saving the planet, for eating the wrong kind of snack. Guilt has no boundaries. It's like Wi-Fi. It just finds you wherever you are. We've gotten so used to guilt that we've built happiness on top of it. It's like this rickety foundation we all pretend is solid. We think we're being kind, generous, or productive, but underneath it all, it's guilt pulling the strings. That's why happiness feels temporary. It's not real peace. It's just a momentary relief from guilt. You feel good because, for a second, you feel like you've earned permission to stop hating yourself. You volunteered, you helped someone, you finished your to-do list, and suddenly the guilt monster quiets down. But not for long. It always comes back. Think about how we're raised. From the beginning, guilt is baked into everything. Eat your vegetables or you'll get sick. Say thank you, don't be rude. Other kids don't have what you have, so be grateful. Gratitude and guilt get mixed up until you can't tell which one's which. You grow up thinking that feeling good is only okay if you've earned it. Like, you can't just be happy, you have to justify it. I worked hard today, so I deserve to relax. I exercised so I can eat this. Everything's a transaction. You don't get to feel joy unless you've paid for it in guilt first. And it follows you into adulthood. You're sitting on the couch watching TV, and your brain's like, shouldn't you be doing laundry, or working on that project, or fixing your life? You can't win. Even when you are doing something productive, guilt finds a new angle. Sure, you're working, but you're ignoring your family. Sure, you're with your family, but you're not working hard enough. It's like guilt has this endless list of ways to prove you're failing at something. What's crazy is that guilt even hides in happiness itself. You ever have one of those perfect little moments, maybe you're laughing with friends or lying in bed on a lazy morning, and suddenly your brain ruins it by reminding you that it won't last? Like, enjoy this now because something bad's probably coming. That's guilt. It can't stand silence. It can't stand peace. It needs to remind you that you don't get to just be happy without consequences. And that's the twisted part. Guilt doesn't punish you for doing bad things anymore. It punishes you for not being perfect. You could save a drowning puppy, and guilt would say, yeah, but why weren't you watching it in the first place? There's no winning. Every act of goodness has a shadow. Every smile has a second thought. We like to think guilt keeps us moral, but half the time, it just keeps us anxious. It's not a moral compass. It's a broken alarm that goes off even when nothing's wrong. And the worst part is how we've learned to depend on it. We actually use guilt as fuel. We think if we just feel bad enough, we'll fix everything. We motivate ourselves with shame. I'll eat better because I hate my body. I'll work harder because I'm not good enough. And when it works, we call it discipline, but it's not. It's just self-punishment dressed up as ambition. We even feel guilty for things completely out of our control. You see a sad news story, and suddenly you're walking around feeling heavy, like it's your fault the world is broken. We carry guilt for stuff that doesn't even belong to us. We treat guilt like proof that we care. Like if we stop feeling bad, it means we've stopped being good people. But that's not compassion, that's emotional masochism. You don't have to bleed to prove you have a heart. What's wild is how guilt disguises itself as virtue. We think people who constantly feel bad about themselves are self-aware, but that's not awareness, it's exhaustion. It's like being stuck in an endless apology tour for existing. You can't enjoy your successes because you feel like you don't deserve them. You can't celebrate yourself without that little voice saying, don't get cocky. You can't even take credit for your happiness without feeling like you've stolen it from someone else. And the irony is that guilt doesn't even make us better. It just makes us tired. It wears us down until we're too numb to do anything meaningful. Real goodness doesn't come from guilt, it comes from understanding. You don't have to feel bad to do the right thing. You can help someone because you actually care, not because you're trying to quiet your own conscience. But that's hard, because we've spent so long confusing guilt with goodness that we don't know how to separate them anymore. You ever notice how when something genuinely joyful happens, your first instinct is to downplay it? Like, if something goes really well, you immediately think, well, it won't last, or I probably don't deserve this. That's guilt's favorite trick. It doesn't let you live in the moment. It pulls you out, makes you question it, makes you feel like happiness is some kind of loan you'll have to pay back later. That's why even our happiest moments feel fragile. We can't stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. And maybe that's why happiness feels like a costume. Because even when we wear it, we can feel the guilt underneath. We can feel the zipper poking our skin. Happiness feels fake, not because it's fake, but because guilt won't let us believe it's real. It keeps whispering, you don't deserve this yet. And we listen. We always listen. But here's the thing. Maybe guilt was never supposed to disappear. Maybe it's just supposed to visit, not move in. Because guilt isn't evil. It's a signal. It tells you when you've gone too far, when you've hurt someone, when you need to fix something. But most of us don't use it that way anymore. We let it set up camp in our heads and start redecorating. And once it's there, every happy thought has to walk through its front door and ask permission to exist. The real trick isn't to kill guilt, it's to stop worshiping it, to stop confusing it with goodness. You can feel guilty, learn from it, and then let it go. You don't have to keep punishing yourself for being human. You can do good things because you want to, not because you're afraid not to. That's what real happiness feels like, quiet, guilt-free, peace. Because happiness isn't the absence of guilt, it's when guilt finally shuts up long enough for you to breathe. You ever notice how everyone's obsessed with self-improvement now? Like it's this new religion? We don't pray anymore, we optimize. We don't confess, we journal. We don't meditate for peace. We do it to make our brains run faster so we can squeeze in more productivity before bed. Every day, there's some new hack to become a better person. A book, a routine, a diet, a cold shower, some guy on YouTube telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. because billionaires don't sleep. You can't just be yourself anymore. You have to be a project. It's wild how we've managed to turn being better into a competition. Everyone's walking around acting like they're in a personal Olympics of mental health. I only drink alkaline water now. I deleted all my social media. I journal in the dark while listening to whale noises. And the worst part, we all pretend we're doing it for peace, but really we're just terrified of being left behind. Because that's what the world tells you. If you're not improving, you're decaying. You can't just exist. You have to upgrade constantly, like you're some kind of emotional iPhone. The irony is, the more we chase improvement, the more broken we feel. It's never enough. You hit one goal, and there's already another one waiting to shame you. You go to the gym 3 days in a row, great! But then someone's online doing 7 days plus yoga, plus gratitude journaling, plus intermittent fasting, and suddenly your little effort feels like a failure. You can't even be proud of yourself because there's always someone better, and that's where the guilt comes sneaking back. Because the whole self-improvement culture runs on guilt. Every ad, every influencer, every podcast host is whispering the same message. You could be more productive, more fit, more mindful, more successful, more whatever. It never ends. They don't actually want you to feel fulfilled because if you ever did, you'd stop buying things. You'd stop listening. The machine runs on your quiet little voice that says, I'm not enough. That's the gas in the tank. You ever try one of those morning routines you see online? The kind that looks peaceful and perfect candles, smoothies, journaling, affirmations. You wake up one morning thinking, today's the day I become my best self. You light a candle, you write, I am grateful in a notebook, and by 8 a.m., you already feel behind. Because you realize your self-care took 2 hours and now you're late for work, and then you feel guilty for being stressed, which ruins the whole point. You start yelling at yourself, why can't I even relax correctly? That's where we are. We feel guilty for not enjoying our own self-improvement. It's like we've weaponized growth against ourselves. You can't even fail naturally anymore. It's not allowed. You have to learn from it immediately. You can't just mess up and move on. You have to turn every mistake into a motivational quote. Like, failure is just success wearing a disguise. No, sometimes failure is just failure. Sometimes you just blew it, and that's okay. But no one wants to admit that because it sounds lazy, it sounds unproductive. We've forgotten how to just be human without trying to make a lesson out of everything. We tell ourselves we're improving, but half the time, we're just running away from guilt. We meditate to quiet the anxiety that we're not doing enough. We go to therapy so we can fix ourselves faster. We buy self-help books, not because we love wisdom, but because we secretly hate who we are. The whole system's built on this quiet self-loathing that we dress up as ambition. And maybe that's why we're miserable, because we're not improving for ourselves, we're doing it for the applause, for the validation. We want people to see how evolved we are. You don't just eat a salad, you post it. You don't just read a book, you highlight it and quote it in your Instagram story. It's not enough to grow, people have to see you growing. Because what's the point of being your best self if nobody likes or shares it? It's funny though, because all this pressure to be better ends up making us worse. You start resenting yourself for not being this mythical version of who you think you should be. You start looking at every quiet moment as wasted time. You can't sit still for 5 minutes without feeling like you should be improving something. Your body, your mind, your finances, your relationships. You treat rest like failure. You treat imperfection like sin. And then you wake up one day and realize your whole life has turned into a to-do list. Every part of you is under review. Even happiness becomes a goal you're failing at. You start reading articles like 10 Ways to Be Happier and think, I'm on number 6, why am I still sad? Because happiness isn't a checklist. It's not some prize you get for completing enough tasks. It's what happens when you stop grading yourself. We don't even allow ourselves to be average anymore. Everyone has to be exceptional. You can't just like your job, you have to love your passion. You can't just go for a walk, it has to be part of your fitness journey. You can't just take a nap, it's called restorative mindfulness. We've turned everything simple into something complicated. We've over-engineered being alive. And the cruel joke is that the harder you chase perfection, the more imperfect you feel. You see it everywhere. People burning out from trying to live their best lives. People so busy optimizing their time that they forget how to enjoy it. People chasing inner peace like it's a career move. You end up trapped in this cycle of guilt. You feel guilty for not improving, and then guilty for being tired of improving. It's endless. You know what's even more messed up? When someone doesn't care about improving, we look down on them. Like, if you meet a person who's genuinely content, doesn't care about career ladders, doesn't have a 5-year plan, we treat them like they're broken. Oh, you're just happy where you are? Are you sure you're okay? Because we've decided that peace equals laziness. You can't just be anymore, you have to be becoming. But maybe that's the whole trick. Maybe real happiness isn't about constant improvement. Maybe it's about stopping long enough to realize you don't need to fix everything. That it's okay to be a little messy, a little lost, a little human. Because the truth is, most of the time, what we call self-improvement is just another form of guilt. We can't sit with who we are, so we keep building new versions, hoping one of them will finally feel enough. You ever look back at an old photo and think, man, I wish I appreciated that version of me more? Back then, you thought you were a mess. You thought you needed fixing. But now you look at that person and you see someone trying, someone surviving. You didn't need to be better, you just need to be kinder to yourself. And that's what we forget. Self-improvement without self-compassion is just self-punishment in a nice font. At some point, you have to ask, who are you trying to impress? The world? Your parents? Yourself? And what if the version of you right now, the one that's tired, flawed, inconsistent, is already enough? What if you don't need to hustle your way into worthiness? Maybe peace doesn't come from adding more. Maybe it comes from subtracting the guilt. Because real improvement doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like breathing. It's quiet. It's simple. It's not for show. You don't have to post it. You don't have to announce it. You just live a little softer. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop trying to prove your happiness. And in that silence, maybe for the first time, you actually feel it. Because happiness isn't found at the end of becoming your best self. It shows up when you finally stop trying to be. It's funny how we spend our whole lives chasing this thing called happiness, like it's a destination on a map. Like one day, if we just do everything right, work hard enough, fix ourselves enough, forgive enough people, get enough sleep, drink enough water, we'll finally arrive at this perfect, glowing place where everything makes sense and we'll never feel miserable again. But the truth is, happiness isn't some permanent address. It's more like a stray cat. It shows up when it wants to, rubs against your leg for a while, and then wanders off without saying goodbye. And we keep trying to trap it, feed it, name it, convince it to stay, but that's not how it works. We're obsessed with being happy all the time. We treat unhappiness like it's a malfunction, like something's broken in us if we're not smiling 24/7. You tell someone you're not feeling great, and immediately they want to fix it. Go for a walk, listen to music, be positive. Nobody can just let you be sad for a minute. It's like people panic when they see discomfort. We've built this whole culture around pretending we're fine, even when we're falling apart, because nobody knows how to sit in silence with someone who isn't performing happiness for them. But the crazy thing is, when you stop trying so hard to be happy, when you actually let yourself feel whatever's there, even if it's ugly, even if it's uncomfortable, that's when you start to feel real peace. It's like when you stop running after happiness, it finally slows down and finds you. You realize that the only reason you couldn't catch it before is because you were chasing too fast to notice it sitting quietly right next to you. We've turned happiness into this shiny, filtered ideal. Every commercial, every post, every motivational quote tells us that happiness is something we have to earn. That we'll find it once we're thinner, richer, calmer, more successful, more healed. We talk about deserving happiness like it's a prize you get for surviving life correctly. But happiness was never meant to be a reward. It's not something you unlock. It's something that sneaks in between the chaos when you're too busy being real to fake it. You ever have one of those moments where you stop for a second, maybe you're sitting in traffic or lying in bed at night and you realize, I'm actually kind of okay right now? Not ecstatic, not euphoric, just fine, peaceful. That's it. That's happiness. It's not some grand explosion of joy. It's a quiet absence of noise. But we don't recognize it because it doesn't look dramatic enough. We keep waiting for fireworks when what we really get is a flicker, and we miss it every time because we think it has to look perfect. We think happiness means all the problems disappear, that we wake up every morning full of energy and clarity. But life's not built that way. Happiness doesn't erase sadness, it exists right next to it. They share a wall. 1 minute you're laughing, the next you're crying, and that's not failure, that's just being alive. But we treat every bad day like it's a sign we've lost progress, like we've somehow backtracked in this imaginary emotional game we're all playing. The truth is, you can't chase happiness without feeding guilt. Because every time you're not happy, you start to think something's wrong with you. You start to feel like you're failing at life, and that guilt eats away at whatever small piece you had left. You start comparing yourself to everyone else, friends, strangers, people online who seem like they've got it all together, and you think, why not me? But those people are faking it too. They're just wearing their own versions of the costume. Everyone's scared, everyone's tired, everyone's trying to look fine while quietly holding themselves together with invisible tape. And maybe that's where the real shift happens, when you realize that happiness isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about giving yourself permission to feel anything without judgment. You stop measuring your worth by your mood. You stop treating sadness like failure. You start seeing it for what it is, a signal, a part of the whole experience. Life's not supposed to be constant sunshine. If it were, we'd go blind. You need the shadows to know what the light means. We forget that peace and happiness aren't the same thing. Happiness is fleeting. It's that laugh you didn't fake, that song you forgot you loved, that moment when you breathe in and realize you're not anxious. Peace, though peace is deeper. It's the quiet understanding that things don't have to be perfect to be okay. It's the freedom that comes when you stop grading yourself every day. Peace doesn't scream, it whispers. You only hear it when you stop trying to control everything. You ever meet someone who just seems calm? Not fake calm, but genuinely okay with whatever's happening? They're not chasing anything, not performing, they're just present. You can feel it in them. That's not because they've figured out the secret to happiness, it's because they stopped trying to fight life. They let the bad days be bad without hating themselves for it. They let joy show up when it wants to. They don't demand it to. Stay. That's real strength. That's what being alive looks like when you stop chasing a feeling and start living a life. We're so scared of sitting still with ourselves. The moment we stop scrolling or working or distracting, the thoughts creep in. The guilt shows up. The doubts get loud. But maybe that's the doorway to something real. Maybe sitting in your own discomfort without running from it, without fixing it, is where real happiness begins. Because it's not about making the pain disappear. It's about learning that the pain doesn't define you. It's part of you, but it's not all of you. The more you accept that, the more life softens around you. Things stop being black and white, good day, bad day, success, failure, and they start just being what they are. You can be sad and grateful at the same time. You can be angry and still full of love. You can feel lonely and still laugh. The human experience was never supposed to be tidy. It's messy and complicated and weird. But the beauty of it is that once you stop trying to clean it up, you start to see how real it is. Sometimes happiness is just waking up and realizing you made it another day. Sometimes it's knowing you don't have to pretend today. You can wear your messy hair, you can forget the mantra, you can skip the routine. Sometimes peace is just not caring for a minute, not trying, not fixing, just letting life be what it is and letting yourself be who you are without editing it for anyone. You know that feeling when you laugh during a terrible day? When you shouldn't even be laughing, but something ridiculous happens and you can't help it? That's happiness. It's sneaky like that. It slips in through the cracks when you're not looking. It doesn't need to be summoned. It doesn't need to be earned. It just needs you to stop chasing it long enough for it to find you. We keep trying to grab happiness like it's something outside of us, but it's never been out there. It's not in money or love or success or approval. It's in those small moments when you stop reaching for something else, when you stop waiting for your life to look a certain way before you allow yourself to feel okay. Happiness is what happens in the space after guilt gets tired of talking. Because in the end, happiness isn't the reward for a perfect life. It's the quiet realization that even with all the noise, all the flaws, all the guilt and chaos, you're still here. And somehow, that's enough.